wait until the dust settles, because the thing is, if the visa applications are getting refused left, right and center, doesn't matter how good is your profile, sometimes the instruction to the High Commission New Delhi is given by the the ministers from Australia, and if the instructions is already there to have a more scrutiny on the application, I don't think it will be a good timing for us to apply for application now and get it refused, because once it's refused, it's going to stay in your history that you have already been refused Australian visa before. So the advice is to wait and see that when the dust settles and that this new model of genuine student test that I mentioned earlier come into an effect, and really absorb how things are going, then only put your application forward if you think you're the right fit for that particular new model. So I think the advice is, I know there's a lot of education industry in Nepal is quite negative about sending a student to Australia at the moment because of the high refusal rate, because they're the ones actually facing the students and their parents, and then when there is a refusals, obviously it's a very negative conversation to have. So I guess at this point of time, rather than for the business continuity, people are still putting the application in and they're not really assessing the profile of the application. But then again, there is one thing, we talked about the profile of the application, but then the other thing is the instruction given to the High Commission. If the instruction is to refuse left, right and center, I guess there is no point just digging your own hole at the moment. So I think this is a time we should just take a breather, take a pause, and then wait until this new system is going to be implemented, which is just in a horizon at the moment. The new system's potentially going to be implemented in mid this year, which is not far away. And I think the students need to really understand what this new system is all about, and then work accordingly and with the government, as opposed to work against the government. Well, at this point of time, what we are establishing is we are filtering the students who have a genuine capacity, genuine access to funds, and who has a really good academic background. And we're choosing the subject which is a little bit different to usual subjects. For example, students from Nepal, especially that cohort, are more lured into business courses in Australia, more lured into IT course and all that kind of stuff. But I think the awareness piece in Nepal office is more about letting people know about the benefit of health allied programs, cybersecurities, more in marine science and things like agriculture. There's many other courses that we can start talking about in our Nepalese community, because I don't think the industry people are not talking about these other avenues enough in Nepalese community. So I think it's more about the awareness piece at the moment until this new rules comes in. Then bang, we can talk about, then we can start connecting these, the cohort that is the right match for Australia, so that they can get a better visa perspective. Well, our main focus at the moment is to provide people with the complex migration situations. So which means people who are unlawful in Australia, people who have been in Australia, but they have always been afraid to come and see the professionals. So the main message is if you are in Australia, and if you have been unlawful, you haven't been sorting out your visa status, there's always going to be legal help from Professional Visa and Education Services. So I request people to come forward, come and talk to us. Everything is private and confidential with us. So, and there is always first free consultation. It doesn't even cost you money to come and talk to us about your situation. So we have helped out many people who have been, unlawfully staying in Australia for a very long time, especially people from Nepal. I urge you guys to come forward and talk to us, and there's always going to be a situation that we can assist you further to stay permanently in Australia. So that's my main message. But then the other thing is, Professional Visa is not about just the visa and education. As I said, there are other legal issues that we can look into it as well. If there are other emerging issues like domestic violence in Nepalese community, employment exploitation, if they have any issues at employment, they've been underpaid. Now, the Labour government has just passed the law this morning, which is if you've been discriminated based on your visa status, it's a criminal offence now. So things like that, you just need to come forward and start discussing about your situation, because there are so many Nepalese community, there's so many Nepalese diaspora that is away from the legal information, which means often they find themselves in a very complex situation. Now, you don't have to be afraid of talking about your legal situation with us, because again, there's always going to be legal help in this country. It's a beautiful country. Everything has a legal arrangements. So we just have to make sure that we access those information and make sure that you're protected.